Yo, what's going on YouTube? It is your boy Ears. Hope you guys are having a great rest of your day, start to your day, whatever time it may be. And we're going over the new 10 best class setups to use in Modern Warfare. If you guys are trying to increase your KD ratio or go for your first tactical nuke, I highly recommend you guys giving at least one of these class setups a try. Now, if you guys want to see more best class setups, best settings, tips and tricks, or any more gameplay breakdowns where I analyze and break down my gameplay or break down and analyze your gameplay to help you guys improve, make sure you guys absolutely smash the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and also turn on those post notifications. With all being said, let's get right into the 10 best class setups to use after the new update. So for our first class setup, we've been looking at my high damage AK47 class. Now for the AK47, I like to run it with the monolithic suppressor and the 23-inch Romanian barrel. This barrel is going to allow us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control. Now the biggest weakness with the AK47 is going to be its uncontrollable recoil at medium to long ranges. This barrel is going to drastically reduce the recoil of this weapon, making this gun a lot easier to use at medium to long ranges, and overall making this a lot better and a more just forgiving weapon to run and gun with. And that's exactly why this is the absolute best barrel attachment to run on the AK-47. Now for my third attachment, I'm going to be running the stippled grip tape. Now whenever I'm running a max barrel on an assault rifle, I am almost always running the stippled grip tape because it's going to alleviate that weight increase that max barrel does give us. Now the stippled grip tape allows us to have increased aim down sight speed as well as increased sprint to fire speed, making this weapon a lot easier to use at close range just in case we might get into one of those engagements. Now for my fourth attachment, I'm running the skeleton stock. Now skeleton stock is going to allow us to have increased aim walking movement speed and also increased aim down sight speed. Again, it's going to alleviate that weight increase that max barrel does give us. It's going to be a double up on the increased aim down sight speed, making this weapon a lot easier to use at close range just in case we might get into those engagements. And then finally, I'm running the fully loaded perk. Now the fully loaded perk allows us to have max starting ammo off of spawn. The reason this is so helpful and why I recommend you guys start running fully loaded is because I want to run the class that I equipped when I do spawn in. I do not want to pick up some random gun off the ground that might have some terrible attachments. And number 3, I get to use dead silence when I need to use it and make plays when they need to be made. Overall, full loaded allows me to play at my own pace, and that's exactly why I run this perk on nearly all of my class setups. Now for class setup number 2, I like to run my no recoil sweat M4 class. Now whenever I need to absolutely turn up, if I'm playing sweats or if I just want to sit back, relax, and drop an easy nuke, I'm going to go ahead and run the M4A1. Now for the M4, I like to run it with the monolithic suppressor and the stock M16 Grenadier barrel. This barrel is going to allow us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control. Gonna make it feel like the M4 has absolutely no recoil, especially over medium and long ranges. Now, this barrel is only good if you guys are running the supporting attachments. We're getting right into that. Now for my third attachment, I'm running the Commando foregrip. This is going to allow us to have increased recoil stabilization and also increased aiming stability. Going to iron out that M4A1's recoil pattern, making this weapon very effective over long ranges and make it feel like it has no recoil. Now for my fourth attachment, I'm running the 60 round magazine. This is going to be a fantastic attachment because it's going to make this weapon feel a little bit more forgiving. And also, if I do run into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time, I'm able to take all of them out with still some ammo to spare. This is going to be fantastic if you guys are more aggressive style players and you guys tend to run into more than one enemy at a single time. Now, for my fifth and final attachment, it's going to be the no stock. This is going to fully complete this class setup and going to be the best supporting attachment with that Grenadier barrel and that Commando foregrip. This is going to allow us to have increased movement speed as well as increased aim down sight speed, making the M4 feel kind of like a submachine gun and a more run and gun happy assault rifle, something that I think a lot of us enjoy and a lot of us appreciate here in Modern Warfare. That's exactly why I run the no stock on this weapon. Now for my third class setup, it's going to be my Easy Nukes Kilo 141 class, and I have a little bit of a different Kilo 141 build than some players. Now for the Kilo 141, I'm running the SynGuard Arms Whisperer barrel. This barrel is going to have increased sound suppression as well as increased bullet velocity. This barrel is going to make it feel like we're killing enemies a lot faster because of that increased bullet velocity, and overall we have a built-in suppressor, so we're able to run and gun in the enemy spawn a lot easier because they're not going to be heard nearly as much. Now for my second attachment, I'm running the Merc foregrip. Now the reason I'm running the Merc foregrip is because it's going to allow us to have increased recoil control as well as increased hip fire accuracy. I want to be able to full auto across the map and still hit enemies very easily, and on top of that, having that hip fire accuracy does come in handy because this is going to be more of a run and gun kilo build that's still good at long ranges. Now for my third attachment, I'm running the 60 round magazine. Now, the same reason I run the 60 round magazine on the Kilo is the same reason I run it on the M4. I want to be able to take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time and still have some ammo to spare. Overall, a fantastic and a forgiving attachment to run on this weapon. Now for the fourth attachment, I'm running the no stock again because it's going to have increased movement speed and increased aim down sight speed. Going to overall make this weapon feel a lot more mobile and complement that run and gun playstyle that you're going to have to adapt if you choose to with this class. And then finally, I have on fully loaded, so I can start off with max starting ammo and use the class that I did select off of spawn the entire game till I get my tactical nuke. Now for my fourth class setup, we're going to be looking at my no recoil M13 class. Now for the M13, I like to run it with the monolith suppressor and the Tempest marksman barrel. This barrel is going to allow us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control. This weapon has absolutely no recoil with this attachment, and we can go full auto across the map without any problems, and that's exactly why this is the absolute best barrel attachment to use on this weapon. Now for my third attachment, I like to run the 60 round magazine. Since this is a high fire rate assault rifle that has no recoil, having 60 rounds is going to be super forgiving, allowing us to take out more than one enemy at a single time, and no recoil, 60 rounds to spare. It's just a recipe for a tactical nuke. Now, for my fourth attachment, I'm running the stippled grip tape. You guys already know, whenever I'm running a max barrel on an assault rifle, I want to alleviate that weight increase that that barrel does give us, and the stippled grip tape is going to allow us to have increased aim down sight speed as well as increased sprint to fire speed, making this weapon a little bit more easier to use at close range combat if we do get into those engagements. And then finally, I'm running the Solo Zero Optics Mini Reflex because this is the cleanest optic in my opinion for this weapon, and I do not like the stock iron sights. Now if you guys want to run the GI Mini Reflex, you can, or if you guys like to run the iron sights, you guys can go ahead and put on fully loaded so you guys have maximum starting ammo, and you guys can run the class that you guys equipped off of spawn until you guys get your tactical nuke. But considering the fact that I do not like the iron sights on this weapon, I'm going to go ahead and run the Solo Zero Optics Mini Reflex. Now for my fifth class setup, we're going to be looking at my Grau 5.56 class, which just might be the absolute best gun in the entire game as of right now. Now for the Grau, I like to run it with the monolith suppressor and the Tempest 26.4 inch Archangel barrel. This barrel is going to allow us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, increased recoil control, and on top of that, the cleanest iron sight that this weapon does have to offer, that one-piece pedestal iron sight, which is going to make this weapon a lot easier to use over medium and long range combat. Now this barrel is going to make it feel like this weapon has absolutely no recoil and an absolute laser over all ranges. Now for the third attachment, I like to couple this with the Commando foregrip, allowing us to have recoil stabilization and aiming stability. Going to completely iron out that Grau's recoil pattern, making it an absolute laser and incredibly easy to use over long ranges. Now for my fourth attachment, I'm running the 60 round magazine again because 60 rounds, no recoil. It's a recipe for a tactical nuke, and I'm able to take out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enemies at a single time with one magazine with some time to spare. And then finally, I'm running the no stock attachment on this weapon, allowing us to have increased movement speed and also increased aim down sight speed, so we can run and gun a little bit more, absolutely get in that spawn and just wreak havoc. Overall, the best Grau 5.56 class in Modern Warfare in my opinion. Now for my sixth class setup, we're looking at the absolute best rushing class setup in Modern Warfare, and that's going to be with the MP5. Now with the MP5, I like to run the monolithic integral suppressor, which is going to allow us to have increased sound suppression and as well as increased bullet velocity, and make it feel like we're killing enemies a lot faster due to that increased bullet velocity. And on top of that, we're going to have increased sound suppression so we can run and gun in the enemy spawn and stay alive because we're not going to be here nearly as much. Now for the second attachment, I'm running the Merc foregrip, allowing us to have recoil control as well as hip fire accuracy. I want to be able to use the MP5 at the longest range possible, and on top of that, the MP5 hip fire with the Merc is ridiculously, and I mean ridiculously effective. You'll be surprised how many kills you can pull off running this class setup. It'll let you be like, wow, I probably should not have gotten that hip fire kill with this gun, and that's all because of that Merc foregrip. Now for the third attachment, I'm running the 45 round magazine. Again, I'm not running the 10mm rounds anymore because I feel the 45 is good enough, especially since this is a run and gun SMG. I want to be able to have as much ammo in the clip as possible, just in case an extra enemy turns the corner. I'm going to have that much ammo to take them out. Now for my fourth attachment, I'm running the FTAC collapsible stock. It's going to allow us to have increased movement speed as well as increased aim down sight speed, making this submachine gun feel a little bit more like an SMG. And then finally, I'm running fully loaded so I can start off with max ammo off spawn. I can use the class setup that I selected off spawn, and most importantly, so I can use dead silence when I want to use it, because this is an SMG, so having dead silence in the spawn is overall just a fantastic combination and a recipe for a tactical nuke. Now for my second rushing class setup, we're looking at the MP7. Now this is going to be a setup that can be used at medium to long ranges because it has zero recoil. Now with the MP7, I'm running it with the monolithic suppressor and the FSS recon barrel, which is going to allow us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control. It's going to iron out that MP7's recoil pattern, making it a lot easier to use over ranges. So just in case there might be that one guy that you might think is out of reach, nah, he ain't out of reach for the MP7. Now for the third attachment, I'm running the Merc foregrip again because this is going to add recoil control as well as add hip fire accuracy. This is a submachine gun, so I want to be able to take out enemies off the hip if I need to, especially at close ranges. And the MP7 hip fire is it's nice. It's real nice. Now for the fourth attachment, I'm running the 60 round magazine because we are going to be running and gunning. I want to be able to take out as many enemies as possible and still have some bullets to spare just in case. And then finally, I'm running the no stock attachment to make the submachine gun feel a little bit more like a submachine gun, allowing us to have increased movement speed as well as increased aim down sight speed. And that's going to directly kind of alleviate that weight increase that max barrel does give us with a submachine gun. Now for my seventh class setup, we're going to be looking at the EBR-14. Now if you guys are an experienced player or have decent aim and accuracy, I highly recommend you guys going ahead and giving this class setup a try. Let me go ahead and show you guys exactly what I'm running on this weapon. Now for the EBR-14, aka the M14, I'm running the monolithic suppressor as well as the Forged Tac Precision 22-inch barrel. This barrel is going to allow us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control. Now this weapon has hard vertical recoil, and this barrel is going to allow us to reduce that vertical recoil, making this weapon a lot easier to use at medium and long range combat. And that's exactly where this weapon does excel and why this is the absolute best barrel attachment to run on this weapon. Now for the third attachment, I'm running the 20 round magazine. Now 10 rounds is just not enough, considering the fact this is a marksman rifle and we're not going to be running and gunning. That weight increase that this 20 round mag is going to be giving us is going to be irrelevant, because obviously having 20 rounds to spare is going to be super forgiving, and we're able to take out more enemies at a single time without actually having to reload nearly as much. Now for the fourth attachment, I'm running the GI Mini Reflex because the iron sights on this weapon are absolutely horrible, and considering the fact that this is a marksman rifle and it relies on having pinpoint accuracy, the GI Mini Reflex being the best and most clean optic available for this weapon, we're going to be running that on this gun. Now finally, we're running the FSS Raider Chassis Elite stock, which is going to allow us to have increased aim down sight speed, increased walking movement speed, as well as increased sprint to fire speed. Going to completely alleviate that weight increase that the max barrel is going to be giving with this weapon, making this a lot easier to use at close to medium range if we might get in those engagements with this marksman rifle. Overall, a class that you guys should definitely check out if you guys are up for the challenge. Now for my 8th class setup, we're looking at the Aughh. This is going to be my hybrid SMG class. This is one of the most underrated weapons in the entire game. Now with the Aughh, I like to run it with the monolithic suppressor and the 622mm long barrel. This barrel is what makes this weapon so good. It allows us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control, making this weapon a lot easier to use at medium and long range combat, and it's going to make it feel like it's an SMG but with assault rifle range. Pretty disgusting if you ask me. Now for my 3rd attachment, I like to run the 32 round magazine. Now I think the 9mm 32 round magazine is good enough, and that's exactly what I like to run it. I like to have as much ammo to spare as possible, so just in case I run into more enemies, I can go ahead and take them all out. And I do not want to have that weight increase that the 5.56 60 round drum does give us with this weapon. Now for the 4th attachment, I am running the stippled grip tape, which allows to have increased aim down sight speed as well as sprint to fire speed increased. And like always, whenever I'm running a max barrel, whether that be on an assault rifle or if I'm running it on a submachine gun, we're going to be running an attachment that's going to increase that aim down sight speed to alleviate that weight increase. Now finally, I'm running fully loaded on this weapon because I want to be able to run the class up that I equipped off of spawn until I get my streaks or my tactical nuke. And considering the fact this is still a submachine gun, having dead silence activated when I need it to be activated is absolutely key, and I can make plays when they need to be made. Overall, a solid Aughh class setup that I recommend you guys do going ahead and checking out. Now for my 10th and final class setup, we're going to be looking at my P90 class that has absolutely no recoil. Now for the P90, I like to run the lightweight suppressor over the monolithic suppressor, so I can go ahead and maintain that faster aim down sight speed. And considering the fact that this is a close range submachine gun, I'm not going to really care that we're going to be losing some damage range. Now for my 2nd attachment, I'm running the Forged Tack Retribution barrel, which can allow us to have increased damage range, increased bullet velocity, as well as increased recoil control. Overall, in my opinion, the absolute best barrel attachment to run on the P90, because we can chance a long range gunfight if we want to, because this gun can pull it off 99% of the time. Now for the 3rd attachment, I'm running the stippled grip tape like always, because whenever I do run a max barrel attachment, whether it be on an assault rifle or an SMG, I want to alleviate that weight increase that max barrel does give us, allowing us to have increased aim down sight speed as well as increased sprint to fire speed. Now for my 4th attachment, I'm running the Fly Strap stock, which allows us to have increased sprint to fire speed as well as increased aim walking movement speed. Again, gonna boost up this weapon's close range lethality and make it feel like a submachine gun that's good at close range. And then finally, we're gonna be running the fully loaded perk again, because I want to run the weapon that I equip off of spawn until I get my streaks or my tactical nuke, and most importantly, I can use my dead silence when I need to use it and make plays when they need to be made. Overall, these are going to be my 10 best class setups to use in Modern Warfare after the new update. If there are 3 class setups I want you guys to check out and absolutely shred with if you guys are trying to increase your KD ratio or go for your first tactical nuke, it's going to be my rushing MP5 class setup. It's also going to be my Grau 5.56 class setup for easy nukes, or if you guys are just trying to sit back, relax, and actually go in, it's going to be my no recoil sweat M4A1 class. Remember, if you guys want to see any more best class setups, best settings, tips and tricks, or any more gameplay breakdowns where I analyze my gameplay or break down your gameplay to help you guys improve, make sure you guys absolutely smash the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and also turn on those post notifications. With all being said, I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Deuces.